what is one book that changed your life?
I'm sure I'm not the only one to say one book, just one. Are you freaking kidding?
Yep, we get that a lot.
So,
nearly every time.
Lori even said, what did you choose? I'm like, oh no, I'm just going to let you guys decide which one I should choose. And yeah, so
that's cheating.
That's what she said. So out of all, the one I decided to pick out was the one I have actually out of the pile. I've read many of them several times, but this one I've probably read the most. And it's Stephen King's book called On Writing. And, there have been times where I thought the dream of really going for it for real was just a past. It was just a fantasy. It was just like, and reading his book is really, it's his autobiography combined with his lessons on writing and publishing and all that. So I love reading an origin story. I love reading rags to riches origin stories. And this one was a biography. I love the reminders that rejection is part of the process, not take it. In fact, he would pin all his rejection letters until he had wallpapered his rejection letters. And to him, it was just, hey, one more down. And it was almost like a celebration, which is a really great mindset thing as far as I'm concerned. And also the persistence, and something that it was a lesson that I think I needed to hear was sometimes that when I'm writing something, it's just not coming out right. I just really struggle with it. It's just, it's not coming out right. And it's like, okay, maybe this wasn't part of me. Maybe this wasn't something that I was meant to write in the first place. Perhaps I should just scrap it, consider it was a bad idea. And that's what he had done and put it in the garbage. And he's just like, this is too much of a struggle. Most things come out as a stream of consciousness, or they're just so natural. And he put it in the garbage, and it was his wife that pulled his work out of the garbage. And that was, the thing that made him famous, Carrie, which became a movie, and, got his, his lesson was sometimes the hardest ones are the best ones. So it's just lessons that I needed to hear. And a lot of these apply to life as well. And so to me, it's almost like it's like a good fiction book because of the storytelling aspect and good reminders of, okay, I can do this. I can do this.
When you were telling the story about his wife found it, I was like, I remember this, and it's such a good moment. And I love the way that Stephen King summarizes it and really turns it into a lesson. That's brilliant. It's a very good choice. Although you're going to have to send me a picture of the rest of the pile, because now I'm curious.
Yeah, there's a story behind each one of them too.
What would your pick be then, Laurie?
So I want to qualify my pick here because ever since college, books have appeared for me when I have struggled with something, and the solution has been in writing. And I often will yell into the universe, can't somebody just tell me, do I have to read it? And the reading it could be nonfiction or fiction. Sometimes it's the line. I don't know if you've ever had this. You get to the part in a book, you read the line that resonates the strongest with you, and you have no more desire to finish the book. It's like, I got it, I'm done, and you move on. So 2 years ago, when I was diagnosed with cancer, during that process, you do a lot of introspection naturally when you have a chronic, mine was acute at that moment because I was dealing with it. But when you have something very big in your life happen, you do a lot of introspection. And I was doing a lot of introspection, and I had never read this author before. But I picked up the book. The title is The Power of Vulnerability. It's Brené Brown. It had a humongous impact on me in the fact that it looked at vulnerability, but the main message for me, that one of the big takeaways was when you tell your story, you own your story. And up to that point, the outside world, your family, origin, people are telling you your story and you adopt that. And so being vulnerable is about opening to your own story and being in charge of it. And that was really profound for me at a time when emotionally, physically, mentally going through cancer and cancer treatment was happening. So I was feeling vulnerable, but it took me down a different road. And that road opened me up to thinking about how I was going to move forward. So it's something that has stayed with me and is very powerful right now, and potentially could have launched my idea and drive to actually write my own book, which is different than the writing that I do on behalf of clients or the writing that I do on behalf of Sticky Brand Lab.
I have to admit, I haven't read any of her stuff, but I'm aware of like who she is and what she does. And I've read some quotes from her and I keep thinking, yeah, I need to read her books. I need to watch a Netflix special. And then I think, because when I usually watch stuff, it tends to be to just switch off. I haven't yet. And I do keep thinking I should push it on my list because it seems like one of those things there's a lot to learn from like her books and her content and stuff. Because I guess you're going to take away from it whatever you need to hear in that moment. But she certainly is probably one of the bravest people out there, I think. And that, you know, that's kind of what she teaches at the end of the day, isn't it?
It's totally, I think, about stepping into and your own power and really realizing that no matter where you came from or what you're going through, it's owning your space in it and not letting others tell you what to think, what to feel. In the examination, I was realizing how much I had held on to that I took into my present life that I needed to let go of. And that's why the introspection was so important at that time. And the power of vulnerability is pretty profound. It's an emotional and mental way of thinking that then impacts your overall, I think, health. And a lot of what we've talked about, when you don't recognize what burnout feels like because you are having some physical symptoms that you can attribute to an illness without recognizing how much you're carrying around. And I like to think of it just as opening your suitcase and unpacking it.
I like that analogy.